Hi, everyone. My name is Abby Mitchell, and I am a senior at BYU-Idaho, and this is going to be my internship presentation for 2022. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So I did my internship at a place here in Rexburg called Journeys DDA, and I just wanted to go over a little bit about what Journeys is. Journeys is a developmental disability agency, so that's where DDA comes from, and it's an Idaho-based service that provides developmental therapy and behavior intervention services for special needs children and adults like all throughout Idaho. And so they have different locations, and those are in Rexburg, Rigby, Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Twin Falls, and in Boise. And they have and it says children and adult programs. I specifically worked in the children's program because I just feel like I can bond with children a lot more than I can with adults. And so that's just a little bit of a background of what Journeys is. So this is how I found my internship. I went to the BYU-Idaho website, as it says, and I went to the search bar and I typed in marriage and family studies internships. And then I clicked on this right there. And then I scrolled down to about a quarter of the way down the page, and it says find an internship. And so you can see that they have several different ones throughout the United States. You can find different ones, like you just have to get it approved through the school. If you find something that's not on this list, this is just like a good starting point for you to find an internship. And so this is where I found Journeys. I've heard of Journeys before. My brother-in-law used to work there. He worked in the adult program. And so I asked him a little bit about it. And he said that he really liked it, but he knows that I like kids a little bit more than I do adults and stuff. And so he recommended that I interview at the kids program. And then I used to also work at this place called Cal Ranch here in Rexburg. And we had some children from Journeys come in, and they would shadow some of our workers so they could get real world experience. And so that's another reason that I've heard about Journeys. So whenever I saw it on this list, I was like, that's where I want to do my internship. And so I arranged my internship by calling the number that I found on the BYU-Idaho website. And when I called, they were like, oh, call this number. So I wrote down the number and I called that number, and then they gave me an email to send my resume and cover letter to. And so I did that, and then I got an email back, and they said that within a couple of hours, I would hear back about an interview and stuff like that. And so within an hour, I got a call back. I was actually at the movie, so I had to run out of the movie because I was like, I gotta get this internship. And so I set up an interview, and they asked me if I would want to be in the adult or kids program. And I said the kids program, and they asked me where I wanted to be put. And I said that I would prefer to be put in the Rexburg area because that's where my apartment was and everything. And I was just familiar with Rexburg. But I told them that I would be willing to go to Idaho Falls or Rigby so that I wouldn't be limited. If they needed help down there and not really in Rexburg, then I wouldn't, then they would still consider me for it. And so I got an interview at the kids program in Rexburg, and it went really well. I asked them some questions. They asked me some questions about what experience I've had working with children and stuff like that. And after I finished the interview, they told me within the next couple of hours or days, I would hear back and know if I got it or not. And again, within an hour, I heard back that I got it, and I was so excited to check that off my to-do list so I could get one step closer to graduation. And so then on the website, on the BYU-Idaho website, there's on that same page that all the internships were you just scroll down further, and it has the application for to get it approved by the school. So I went on there and I did everything through there, and within a couple of weeks I got it approved through the school that I could work at Journeys as my internship. And so it was it's a very quick process, at least this internship was. like the person I interviewed with was super nice. Like the person that I was emailing about interviewing was all like always super helpful and nice and would always email me back. I'm not kidding, within like 2 minutes. She was amazing. Um, so the next thing I want to talk about is what my responsibilities were whenever I was interning. So I qualified for a position called an intervention technician or an IT. And so I would work specifically with different clients. I had 4 clients that I would work with um, throughout the week. And so we would work on their goals that their parents had set and that like some of the other workers had set for them. And so I just wanted to go over a little bit about what each of my clients' goals were so that you can like get a better idea. So one client that I had, he had some specific goals related to washing his hands and brushing his teeth. So right whenever he would get there, we would go to the bathroom and we would wash his hands and brush his teeth so he could like get better with his fine motor skills. Speaking in 3 or more word sentences. So we would do a lot of puzzles. And whenever he would finish with a puzzle, I would say, "What do you say about your puzzle?" And he would say, "Puzzle all done." And so we would like check that off that he would say like 3 or more words. But if he just said all done, then like you'd have to put an X on the sheet because he didn't say 3 or more words. And so the more that we did this, the more he like would say more words and everything like that. It got to the point where he was probably speaking in 5 or 6 word sentences, which was a lot better from when I first started to work with him. And like he worked with several other workers, it wasn't just me. So like he had a lot of other help and stuff. So it was really nice. And then turn taking we would work on and transitioning. And he like had a lot of goals that he was working towards. And just seeing how much he grew and like the 3-ish months that I was working with him was seriously so amazing. And then a different client that I had, she had specific goals related, like pertaining to self-confidence. And so one of her goals, it says something like, you would like ask her, what is something that you love about yourself? And she would have to answer it within like a minute or two because she just lacks self-confidence in herself. And so sometimes she would say it really quickly, like she was like, I am very artistic and stuff like that. And then other times it would take her a lot longer to think of something. So we would do that with every shift that we would have. And then she also would get like, she wouldn't have like meltdowns like some other clients that I've seen, but she would just be very stubborn. She would like just need to regulate her emotions more. And so she would have to do self-calming techniques. And so like I would just tell her, I was like, okay, we can go sit on the couch for a little bit and like we can just breathe together. And so that would help her like regulate her emotions and everything like that. One of my other clients, she had some goals catering to home life, such as napping and cooking. At the Journey's location, there's like this back room that has like couches and bean bags and like a little play kitchen and stuff like that. And so they would have blankets and everything. And so she would say, okay, Abby, it's nap time. And so we would go to the back room and she would put a blanket on me and then she'd like tuck me in. So I would like put a blanket on her and like tuck her in. And we would just kind of like just sit there on the couch and she would like snore a little bit, like play snore and stuff. And so it would help her with nap time. Like she didn't like take a nap at Journeys or anything, but just so like whenever she would go home, like it would be like more familiar with her and stuff like that. And then same with cooking, she would ask me what I would want and they had like little play kitchen. So I'd say, oh, I want a cookie. And she would put it in the fake microwave and put it on a time and then she would take it out and she'd like, here's your cookie and stuff like that. So it was just cool to see her learn how to do more home life. And then my last client that I would work with, he had some goals that also had to do with regulating emotions. He would get very angry. He would never like hit or kick or do anything like that, but he would just like raise his voice or like he would sometimes just sit there and like not move, not do anything. Like if he dropped markers, he would not want to pick them up. He would like just yell and like say, I'm not picking them up and stuff like that. So we would work on regulating his emotions and becoming more independent when it comes to decision making. So we would like go to the park and I would ask him which park he wanted to go to here in Rexburg and stuff just to help with the decision making. Um, and then how did I benefit Journeys? I think that I brought a very caring and loving personality with me whenever I went and started to work there. Um, I had three bosses, well, like one main boss, then two like kind of secretary ish people, and sometimes they would tell me like, oh, we forgot that you were an intern, because I was like, oh, today's like my last day interning, and be like, oh my gosh, like, well, I would like give them a heads up before, but they would always say like, we kept forgetting that you were an intern because you were so hardworking and you really care about like the clients and you going above and beyond for them, and stuff like that. So that always made me feel good that they like would care for me and like me like how I liked them. And then how did I benefit personally from Journeys? I learned so much during this internship, like not just about myself, but like about like what to do with other children, like that have some special needs. Um, and when I first started my internship, I had some goals that I set for myself for my internship class. And some of those goals included becoming more organized and being more dependable, being a good teacher, and being more patient. So being more organized, you have to have very good organization skills because you have like your schedule that's on an app on your phone. You have your binder with all the information about the clients and everything like that. So you have to be organized and be sure to like be with the client when you're supposed to be with them. If you pick them up from their house, you have to like make sure that you pick them up at the right time or drop them off at the right time, take them to their therapy and everything like that. So you have to be very organized and know exactly where to take them and what to do. Um, and then being more patient, that was the last goal that I had set for myself. I always like, every like new year and stuff, you like, oh, one of my New Year's resolutions is to be more patient. And you always think that you're like pretty good at it. And then something happens and you're like, I still need to work on my patience. And working at Journeys definitely helped me with my patience because some of my clients did not want to do anything. Like they would get very stubborn and they would not want to do anything. And so it would just be like me trying to um, ask them what they would want to do. And then if they said nothing, then I'd have to give them ideas. And then sometimes they would just sit there. So I would have to be patient with them and not push them too hard where they would have like a breakdown and stuff like that. So just trying to find that happy medium of me giving them ideas and then them like verbalizing what they would want to do. And then these are some connections to what I learned during my like classes at BYU Idaho to what I was doing at Journeys. I took a lot of child development and psychology classes, and I like learned how children develop and like what stages they go through at like what age. And so when working with children with disabilities, I was able to see some of the developmental um, aspects that weren't quite where they were supposed to be at their age. And so working with them, I was able to um, kind of help them develop a little bit more. Like I said, I was only there for 3 months, so it wasn't like a huge like change, but definitely like seeing that one specific client that I talked about earlier, that his goal was to talk in 3 or more word sentences. Um, Seeing him go to like 5 or 6 word sentences was like a huge growth for him. And so I was able to see like firsthand that aspect of working there. And then lastly, that I would want to talk about is if I recommend this internship. This is by far the best work environment I have ever worked in. My bosses that I was talking about earlier, I would always go and ask them questions. Whenever I was hired, they said that they love questions. And I feel like sometimes people just say that so you feel more comfortable, but they really do. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you grow. They want to see the clients you work with grow. And they know that you have to ask questions in order to see all that growth. And so I would probably go in there at least once a week to ask them questions. And I would always say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I have more questions. And they're like, no, we love questions and stuff. And so that made me feel better about asking them and about going in there. And it made me feel very like loved and welcome, that they would always leave their doors open. Like they would never close the door unless they were like hiring someone and like they had to do the interview process and stuff. But they were always so welcoming and warming. And this definitely isn't an easy job. I cried sometimes because I felt like I was failing. I felt like there were just some of the clients that I worked with that were not growing and developing like the way I saw some other clients grow and develop. But like once we got through that and like I was able to really see them and love them, then I this is the most rewarding internship job I have ever had, and I have loved it so much. And so that is the end of my presentation, and I really hope that you guys have learned something and that you would consider Journeys as your internship location because it is the best. And that's it. So thank you.